together a group of 7-year-olds from all over the country and from all walks of life.
If I could, I would have 2 girls and 2 boys. I read the Financial Times.
They talked about their dreams, their ambitions, and their fears for the future.
Everything flew up in the air. It all landed on my head.
For nearly half a century, in a unique, groundbreaking series of films, we have followed their lives every 7 years. They are now 56.
Well, my girlfriend is in Africa, and I don't think I'll have another chance of seeing her again.
You got any girlfriend?
No, not yet. I'm sure it will come, but not yet.
I mean, I do think a lot of people think too much about it.
I think I would very much like to become involved in a family, my own family for a start. That's a need that I feel I ought to fulfil and would like to fulfil and would do it well.
Yes, I haven't got married or whatever. And I suppose, that would have been something which I hoped had happened.
Well, you're getting on a bit. Are you getting worried?
Well, not particularly. I mean, I'm always optimistic. I mean, who knows who I might meet tomorrow.
And in the middle of a conversation about something completely different, he just asked if I'd like to marry him. And if I hadn't been listening carefully, I would have missed it completely.
To love and to cherish.
To love and to cherish.
Till death us do part.
Till death us do part.
Don't argue very much.
Not really. I mean, we haven't really had a sort of full-blown row.
Our arguments sort of tend to be 2 sentences, and I go off and sulk for 24 hours.
So is Bruce getting any better at expressing his feelings to you?
Not really, by the sound of that.
We may have children, I don't know. I mean, if in 7 years' time or so we're living in a slightly bigger house with a young family, that would be nice. I mean, I don't want to pin all my hopes on it and nothing happens. We are quite old. I can see bringing up, say, teenage children when in your 50s might be a bit strange.
Come on then, Henry, get on.
Bruce and Penny had 2 sons, Henry and George. I mean, 7 years ago you were taking a bit of a pasting from them.
Well, yes, exactly, and that's, if they sat on me now, I wouldn't be able to get up again. And in the second year, I was in rooms at the top of that staircase there.
Bruce and Penny took the boys away for a weekend to Oxford to see Bruce's old college and to watch their father play cricket.
It's just nice drifting along the river without making too much noise. If you can see the odd wildlife and so on, you come up on it unawares kind of thing.
Muddy water and a spider. Tar.
One of you link up one, and one of you... I think it's more of a father-son thing to go along and watch and support. We always have lunch, then tea, and then a barbecue afterwards.
We're not very good at this, are we?
Ever since Cornwall, it was to be no more camping.
My heart's desire is to see my daddy, who's 6,000 miles away.
What happened between you and your dad?
I suppose a separation and a distance. When I was 14, I went out to Zimbabwe, and then later when he retired to England, we felt that there was a lot of distance between us and ground to make up.
Okay. I think it's going to take quite a while.
The boys are still young enough for us all 3 to fit into a small tent. I suppose it's a bit of dads and lads and getting to know each other and forming a relationship and so on.
I didn't want to wait.
Oh Lord, that's not going to go in there.
Okay, boys, what's that then?
They always come first. I mean, we've got our work and so on, so we'll do a variety of things with them.
We'll do it later, dear. I'm off to play cricket. Bye-bye.
Is the forecast to rain tonight?
We're arriving on the tubes to go sideways. Come in!
When he was 7, Bruce was at boarding school. He went on to Oxford, where he got a maths degree.
You can show that this is irreducible. Then you do a transformation on this polynomial x equal to t plus 2.
After Oxford, he worked in the city for a year, then decided to teach. He taught in a state school.
General education is better for society, I think.
Do you understand the game?
There is a class society, and I think public schools may help its continuance.
At 35, Bruce took a sabbatical and taught in Bangladesh.
The straight line, yes, keep going.
At 42, he was back in the East End, as head of the maths department at a girls' comprehensive school.
Yeah.
At 49, we found him teaching at St Albans, an independent school.
In the early days, the school was in the Abbey, going back to 948.
948?
Yes, so the head quite likes to say we're in our 3rd millennium, you know.
So the school's over 1,000 years old?
Yes, in one form or another. Now you have to make x the subject to this equation. You've got to get x on its own. So what's the first thing we do?
I multiply both sides by 3.
Has it been a kind of compromise of political principles for you, this?
Well, I would say, you know, have a million angels in front of every teacher who's prepared to slog away at an inner city comprehensive. Make way, make way. This is somebody who's prepared to turn up each day and do that job.
Do your old friends give you a hard time about what you've done?
They certainly do. They absolutely do. They say, oh, you know, have we joined the Tory party, the golf club, the Masons, you know. I'm quite happy just being an ordinary maths teacher for the not many years that I've got left, actually. So I'm quite happy. I'm not ambitious now.
Face it up.
So do you enjoy watching cricket?
I can watch it for short periods. It's a sort of a sport tax on Bruce. He plays cricket, I go and shop.
So is he playing as much, Bruce, as he used to?
No. And when he does, he usually manages to pull a muscle. So.
But they lost by about 70 runs and our team lost by about 70 runs.
At the end of the game, somebody is nominated to wear that ridiculous garment. And I think bringing you lot along for the weekend had a lot to do with me winning the jacket this time.
So the jacket is not an enviable thing to win?
No.
Well, I'll go into Africa and try and teach people who are not civilised to be more or less good.
It all springs from loving God and Christ, I suppose.
Some people often will say that the bully is upset about something in their own lives, and so when they're bullying,
I suppose I'm taking them to Quakers so that they learn the Christian stories and a lot of what's embedded in our culture. They are good moral tales that we should, when they reflect upon, they may give them a sense of right and wrong and so on.
One group or another will get sort of drawn in.
We like the ethos of tolerance and understanding.
The boys go to a local Quaker school, where Penny teaches.
Everybody in the school, from the youngest 2.5-year-old in the nursery to the headmaster, is known by their first names, and there is no uniform, and very few formal rules.
Oh, pull out, because I'll take the lead.
Never fun.
Are you ambitious for them?
Yeah, I mean, some people work ferociously hard, and while that's rewarding and they enjoy that and they enjoy the success and so on, you just hope they get a nice balance to their lives.
What are your fears for the future with the boys?
That they don't fulfill their potential, that they're led astray in some way, drugs or something. They end up unhappy with regrets about not having done as well as they could.
Boys, right, what a night we're going to have here.
Right, if I wake wake up to find anybody clutching my genitals.
George!
They're very good company, but they will grow apart. You know, eventually leave home, and we won't see them so often. And in a way, I'll miss them dreadfully, but that's the natural order of things.
And just think how comfortable Mummy is in her bed and breakfast. But just remember, when we're in a tent, the Baldwin family are a non-farting family.
Thank you, Father. Dad, shut up.
I'm going to work in Woolworths.
Lynn grew up in the East End of London.
Why am I using wooden spoon, please, to stir this saucepan?
Well, in a grammar school, I don't think you find many girls that really want to do metalwork or woodwork.
At 21, she began a career as a children's librarian, starting off in a mobile library in East London.
Have I stamped yours? Yes. Yes? I've not stamped yours. Sleeping Beauty.
Teaching children the beauty of books is just fantastic. To work with children of that age, you've got to love them. And I love children.
Because of cuts in the education budget, the mobile library was shut down. At 42, Lynn was working at Bethnal Green.
You can draw better than I can. Good morning.
When we went back at 49, she was still there.
Good morning. For the last 30 years, banged my head against a brick wall to maintain children's services, but this time around, no one's listening. They say that the work that I do, that anybody can do it. There would be no specialist running it. I may not have a job. At that library review, I got a job. 2 years later, another review. And cutting departments again. That time, I didn't get a job.
But has it been worth it all?
Yeah, very much. All these things that I've said over the years are flying through my mind at the moment, but yes, it has been worth it. And you better cut it, because otherwise I'm going to cry. Fortunately, I was over 50 and I could draw my pension. We decided we can downsize, we'll move out, smaller property, there's only the two of us at home now, and we'd be great. Then the crash came. And then Riley was born. And what I thought was stress was nothing.
Riley is one of Lynn's 3 grandsons. How much did he weigh when he was born?
2 pounds and a quarter ounce. As soon as he was born, they took him straight through to the neonatal intensive care unit. 3? How many you got? Yeah, he was put on oxygen, monitors on, tubes coming out of everywhere. And he's absolutely fine, thanks to the NICU unit at William Harvey Hospital in Ashford.
Nice work, darling.
Mummy's going to work. Say bye-bye, Mummy.
Riley has an older brother, Connor.
For the last 18 months or so, I've actually had Riley full-time.
If I could, I would have 2 girls and 2 boys.
I've been married a year and a couple of months. You do think, Christ, what have I done?
When she was 19, she married Russ. They had 2 daughters, Sarah and Emma.
I'm very much geared to the family unit. I mean, us all, we do things together all the time.
At 42, the girls were both doing very well at school.
All right, darling? Yeah.
Neither of the girls went to university?
No.
Was that disappointing to you?
No, their choice. We discussed it. It's what they wanted to do. They felt that the academic side wasn't for them.
Sorry.
So was the arrival of Connor a shock to you?
No. Well, yeah, but she was 19. Yeah. She's old enough. Oh, look, he's coming after you. Look, he's coming over here to see.
And how's old Connor doing?
He's doing great. He's off to his new secondary school. He keeps telling me he's nearly as tall as me, but I keep saying, no, you've got a while to go yet.
How does he deal with Riley?
He loves Riley to bits, but Riley is just a 2-year-old. Sarah and Adam have got married since we last saw you. They've got a little boy called Harry. He's getting on fine. Sarah, having just had Harry, was put in the same boat as I was. The day before she was due to go back to work after maternity leave, made redundant.
Yeah, so there used to be a lot more subspecies, but various reasons they've gone extinct.
And she's now trained as a childminder. She's doing absolutely brilliantly.
One come as well?
Wow.
And is Emma still in the same job?
Yeah.
Is that going okay?
I mean, with the recession, work dropped off an awful lot, but seems to be picking up again now.
Go over though.
So Russ took early retirement too, so what's happened with him?
Because of the crash, he picked up a job, and instead of the 2 part-time jobs, he got a full-time job.
So we are looking at a much longer working life than perhaps we thought.
Yeah, for everyone. The goalposts keep hiring. People that thought when they started work that they were going to retire at 60, draw their state pension as well. It's totally changed.
They come round and mop the floor, and then a couple of minutes later another waitress come up.
I'm not politically minded, but I still believe that they haven't got a clue what they're doing. Some people are never ever going to recover from it. It's unfortunately going to be quite devastating for them. With no left-wing Labour Party anymore, Tony Blair saw to that. They all veer to the right.
I didn't know I was getting into this.
Are you alright?
Yeah, I think so.
This is unbelievable. Look out.
Russ is still such a great support for me, and he is still my soulmate. Take care, I love you. After all this time, we flourished together.
I had an all-white wedding, all white. We were both in white and my bridesmaid was in white.
37 years. Gone extremely quickly. We've just grown together. We learnt to be friends before we had children. We established a solid foundation from which to work from.
Think of how fit it's going to make you.
In your script.
So for you, that's...
I'm happy with the way my life has gone.
I just don't.
I'm still a governor. I'm still chair of governors at St Saviour's. Just been appointed for another 4-year term of office from the London Diocese and Board of Schools. Must be doing something right.
I read the Financial Times. I read the Observer and the Times. What do you like about it? Well, I usually look at the headlines and then read about them. What about it? When I leave the school, I'm going to College Court. And then I will be going to Westminster boarding school if I pass the exam. And then we think I'm going to Cambridge and Trinity Hall.
John went to Westminster, then on to read law at Christ Church, Oxford.
I think he'll follow in a legal career with a view to ending in Parliament.
Might be at the bar.
Doing what?
perhaps chancery practice.
I now have a career. I'm a barrister. Other than that, life chugs along in varying degrees.
Well, in a sense, not very much has changed in my career over the last 14 years. I'm still a barrister. I still wear a curly white wig. The only visible difference, I suppose, is I wear a silk gown because I'm now a QC.
So week after next is ideal, except for Monday. I know I do largely litigation. I enjoy the work, which is intellectually stimulating and always interesting. I'm blessed with an exceptionally nice group of people in these chambers who I really get on with. I've been ushers at many members of Chambers' weddings. I've been godfather to at least 3 Chambers' children. It's a really nice, close set of friends here, and that I think I'm very blessed in my work environment.
I'm going to Charterhouse, and after that, Trinity Hall, Cambridge.
Andrew went to Charterhouse and Cambridge, where he read law.
I'd like to be a solicitor, and also fairly successful.
At 28, Andrew was a solicitor. By 35, he became a partner.
A couple of weeks.
Later, he joined the legal department of a large British industrial company. A few years after, they were taken over by a German firm.
There was a bit of uncertainty when you get 2 large organisations coming together. You know, who was going to have a job at the end of it, who was going to be made redundant. I was fortunate enough that I still had a job at the end of it, and it's worked very well.
When boys go around with girls, they don't pay attention to what they're doing. Yes, as my grandmother had an accident because a boyfriend was kissing his girlfriend in the street.
By 35, John had married Claire, the daughter of a former ambassador to Bulgaria.
It is coincidental that we met, but it's obvious that the Balkan connection was a strong mutual interest.
My great-great-grandfather, who was the first Prime Minister of Bulgaria when the country was liberated from the Turks in 1879. Well, I think everyone needs to have a feeling that they belong somewhere. There's a plot of land or somewhere where they hail from and their roots are. People who go on about the government butchering the National Health Service, I think should come over to Bulgaria to see what being kept short of necessary supplies and funds really does mean.
We're at the Centre for the Rehabilitation of Disabled Children at Dalbuk Dol near Troyan in the Balkan Mountains, which our charity in London has helped quite a bit. We feel we can help in all sorts of smaller ways, particularly with art classes or pottery classes or dancing classes. You can revolutionise the life of a child without actually having to raise huge sums of money.
What do you think about girlfriends at your age?
What do you think? I've got one, but I don't think much of her.
They're no longer just bores who won't play this or something. They're over half of the community and they're there. And you can begin to talk to them.
I don't think I financially come from the same background. Andrew didn't go for a haughty deb, he went for a good Yorkshire lass.
Does money concern you a lot?
No, I think as long as one has enough to be comfortable, that's really what one should aim for.
What's the most difficult thing about keeping the marriage together?
I don't think it is particularly difficult, actually. We seem to manage all right. Would you say?
I think so, we talk, don't we?
So how is married life?
Well, I still love him, if that's what you're asking.
And likewise. I think the most important thing to us, apart from our marriage, is our children. So we look at them and we see that they seem to be happy and getting on well. We're pleased to be sitting here after however many years it is, 28 years, still happily together.
Andrew and Jane have 2 sons, Alexander and Timothy.
And you can never be sure of leaving your children in any worldly goods, but at least you can be sure that once you've given them a good education, that's something that no one can take away. Alexander's now working in Canary Wharf in the City of London. And Timothy's just left St Andrews, graduated this year, and he's going on to do a postgraduate degree at Durham University.
I'd quite like to get into politics, but I mean, that's easier said than done. Who knows? I haven't written myself off as a potential politician, even though I'm already 49.
Well, I always wanted to go into politics, but whether I'll ever do anything about it, I'm afraid I'm too old now. That's the truth. I mean, but it's depressing. My two oldest friends are both ministers at the moment, and one I've known since 4, one I've known since 5. And I mean, obviously, one can't help feeling was a bit of a failure by comparison.
I think it's more fair if they're elected. Yes, so do I, but I think it's better to be appointed. Yes, because you didn't not such a lot of time. It doesn't appointed.
I'm pleased that we have a coalition because I've always, at heart, believed in consensus politics. One thing that really does worry me is their attempts to solve economic stagnation at the moment in this country by building all over the green belt and other areas of countryside. I have no doubt that whether it's 5 years or 10 years, this recession is going to be over one day, but if the countryside is ruined, it's ruined forever, and for our children, our children's children, and so on.
Andrew and Jane live in London, but they have a second home in the country.
Well, we bought it about just when we got married. And it was a 200-year-old barn that we bought in an auction, completely derelict, nothing in it at all except for manure. We've been here now 28 years. Time's gone by, but the thing has obviously got more mature over the years.
So is it done?
It's never done. There is always the problem of weeds.
As a couple, are you concerned by the destruction of the environment? Is that something
I'm very interested about it. And I think what worries me is that we have the opportunity now to save animals, flora and fauna, that will be lost, and we don't know what benefit they will be to us.
I think a lot of people say, well, global warming's bad, but are they actually prepared to do anything about it?
I'm not sure about that.
The company I work for is developing hydrogen-powered fuel cells for cars in the future. It's still some way off, but I think that's the way that cars will go.
There must be times, when you look and think, well, I did well with this, or I should have done that differently.
Well, I think when there are sort of events in your life, like when, for example, Timothy graduated recently, and we thought, well, that's quite nice. Here he is at the next stage of his life. He's done quite well to get there, and he seems well balanced. And it's those sorts of things that make you reflect.
Well, when Alexander got his first job was very exciting.
Yes, absolutely.
He got the phone call and he screamed down the staircase, I got the job, and a tear came to my eye. It still does now. It was such a lovely feeling, really. I've been very fortunate that Andrew has provided very well for us without me having to go to work, and I've been able to nurture the boys. But I'm not sure whether, looking at the next generation, you feel a lot of women have to work, and I admire them for doing it. But in some ways I think maybe it would be good to work. Not necessarily full-time, maybe take time off until your children are at school. But then you get to my stage and you think, well, it would be nice to have something to do.
I mean, are you grateful she made that decision?
Yes, I am. But I can see that now maybe she'd be enjoy more having some sort of career at this stage.
Is that doable?
No, I don't think so.
I would say it probably is. It's a matter of self-confidence, but obviously in the mid-50s it's a bit more difficult.
I'm not in the mid-50s yet, remember.
True.
Does she lack self-confidence, you think?
To a certain extent. I think she doesn't realise how capable she is, really.
I think it's not a bad idea to pay for schools, because if we didn't, schools would be so nasty and crowded.
I think that the premise on which the programme was based, namely that England was still in the grips of a Dickensian class system, was outmoded even in 1964. It didn't reflect realities in 64.
The hands are over there, I think.
Insofar as the programme touches me, I feel it's a complete fraud. It all appeared part of some indestructible birthright. What viewers were never told is that my father died when I was age 9, leaving my mother in very uncomfortable financial circumstances. She had to go out to work in order to see us through school, and that I got a scholarship to Oxford.
And rich children always make fun of poor children, I think. Yes, they say, oh, look at that lovely little...
I think the premise of the original film was that there was a very strong class system at that time, and I think that's absolutely true. There is still a class system, but I think it's based more on financial success.
Well, there's now an underclass where people can't work.
It's true. But there are extremes at either end. There are very successful people who are extremely rich. And there are people who have very poor prospects. It's true, but it's been ever thus. I don't think that's going to change in the future, and it's always been like that.
Last time I appeared on the programme, a very generous film director based in San Francisco saw the programme and sent us a large cheque running to many thousands of pounds, which we were able to do a great deal of good with in Bulgaria at the time. So that was a wonderful byproduct of the programme, and perhaps it slightly softened my objections.
It's not something I look forward to every 7 years, appearing in this programme. I'm always surprised that, you appear for 5 or 10 minutes and anyone remembers your face, but apparently they do.
Well, I suppose the only thing for me is that I've seen what my husband looked at, like at 7 and 14 and 21 before I knew him. And then when I had my own children, I could see which of them looked like their father at those stages of life. And a lot of women just don't have that.
I think what's undesirable is people who have had options, they'd make advantage, take best advantage of them. But I can't see there's anything wrong as long as people don't abuse the opportunities and privileges they've had.
It's a very nonchalant little theme. Butter wouldn't melt in its mouth, so take it very quietly and let it just present itself.
If one discounts wanting to be a train driver, a major opera singer, a concert pianist, it would have been nice. But I mean, I was never good enough. I enjoy my professional career very much indeed, but doing something for other people gives you a satisfaction that even winning a fantastic case on some ludicrous archaic point of law won't quite deliver. I think the thing where I would regard myself most successful is that I'm blessed with wonderful friends. I'm happily married. I think I'm an incredibly lucky person in all sorts of respects.
Yes.
Tony was brought up in the East End of London.
I want to be a jockey when I grow up. Yeah, I want to be a jockey when I grow up.
At 14, he was already an apprentice at Tommy Gosling's racing stable at Epsom. At 15, he'd left school.
This is a photo finish when I rode at Newbury. I'm the one with the white cap. I was beating a length and a half a third and had a photo finish.
Do you regret not making it?
Well, I would have given my right arm at the time to become a jockey. But now, well, I wasn't good enough. My greatest fulfilment in life, when I rode at Kempton, in the same race as Lester Piggott. Proudest day of my life.
And you let it go?
I'll let it go.
What will you do if you don't make it as a jockey?
I don't know. If I knew I couldn't be one, I'd get out of the game. Won't bother.
Well, what do you think you would do then?
Lot on taxes.
At 21, he was on the knowledge, and by 28, he owned his own cab.
It's surprising who you pick up, you see. I once met Kojak, I picked him up. I'll give you this story which happened. The doorman called me up, and it was Buzz Aldrin, the spaceman. And we drove out the forecourt of the hotel, and a cab pulled up, and the taxi driver said, "Can you get his autograph?" So I heard it and say, "Mr. Aldrin," I said, "can I have your autograph, please?" And the cabbie said, "No, I don't want his autograph, I want your autograph." And I couldn't believe it. I said, "You're joking, ain't you?" And to this day I thought myself, you know, I'm more famous than Buzz Aldrin. He was the second man to land on the moon.
Have you got a girlfriend?
No.
Would you like to have a girlfriend?
No.
You understand 4Fs? Find them, feed them, and forget them. But for the other F, I'll let you use your own discrimination. I mean, this one, I tried to do the 3Fs, but I couldn't forget her.
I went to a discotheque. He was in the pub earlier on, and that afterwards we went to a discotheque and Tony was staying there. And from there, that was it.
By 42, Tony and Debbie had left the East End and moved to Woodford in Essex. At 49, they'd taken out a second mortgage on the London house and put the money into a holiday home in Spain.
From here, it's about 200 yards along. There's going to be all commercial units here. My intentions would be to turn one of these units into a sports bar. We're putting all tellies round in a sports sort of way, like football shirts and all that, memorabilia. Aldi have come along and built a brand new supermarket there. So all my aspirations and dreams went out the window. Well, Michael, that used to be my bank, and that's been closed now for about 18 months. As you probably understand, there is a world recession, and they were, you know, affected like everybody else. My character seems to sort of have slowed down while I'm out here, and the pace is different, and everything's done tomorrow here. You know, I just go to the beach, everyone sort of mingles in, and it's lovely. Our jobs can make it accessible, where we can come 4 hours to door from Spain back to England. We can work 3 weeks of commitment of, you know, getting our money and still, you know, having a life out here.
It's a bit quiet though for you two, isn't it?
Yeah, but then you got your bingo there, haven't you?
It's not quiet when we get here.
Not here. There's only one ambition, and really, I want a baby son, and if I see my baby son, that is my ambition fulfilled. No one knows that, only you now.
Debbie and Tony have 3 children, Nikki, Jodie and Perry.
Nicky, as you know, he was a French polisher, which is a dying trade in England. So we funded him, me and Debbie, on the knowledge. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
We got him the bike, we got him the runs, we paid his tutoring, and I couldn't ask for more. To be more proud for when he got his badge. It was a gift from God for what happened.
I'm very proud of Perry as well. She got in the post office, and that's what she's doing, Postman Pell. That's our Postman Pell.
She's got a lovely boyfriend, and he's certainly got my blessing. Big lad, very nice guy, loves his football, you know, typical East End kid.
You're not lazy, far from it, but I just think it's easier to iron it as it's dried. I used to do that.
No, you never. You paid to get your ironing done, like you still do today. You always have paid.
So how is it, all of you in the house together?
Yeah, it's all right.
She's only here because she's pregnant and she doesn't carry too well. Can be.
Sometimes she gets on my nerves. Sometimes they'll get on my nerves. Sometimes I'll get on their nerves. It's just what happens.
Well done,
Del. Give way.
Well done.
Jodie, I mean, at this present time, she just relies on us a great deal, and she's been very scarred with a relationship that she was in. Her relationship with her first love of her own life was very turbulent. but he's the father of her kid.
Jodie has a daughter, Tony.
Tony, as you appreciate, she's living with us. You know, my daughter Jodie, she's at this present time having emotional problems and various other problems, and most of all, I've got to make sure my Tony grows up with a safe environment. I'll tell you what, this is a 10. Once her mother does get better, I will certainly bond them back, and hopefully, which we pray, they become mother and daughter, and everything will be fine after that. She's growing up at an alarming rate. When she's with any one of her friends, I'll go to her and say, Tony, and no, and stop it, Grandad, you're embarrassing me, and I have to sort of pull the reins in for me.
How's the cabin going?
We had an influx of Arabs come for Ramadan. Without them and the injection of wealth, I think the cab train would have sunk. It's been so bad out there.
It's very hard.
The ratio before was about 10 cabs to 7 jobs. When the Arabs come, it was about 10 cabs to 9 jobs. When they go away, and now the recession came, it's 10 cabs to 2 jobs. I feel that the economy will bust within 5 years because people like myself have been giving and giving all the time. We're paying. Now someone's getting it at our expense. The tangerines.
How did you prophesy what was going to happen in this last programme? You seem to know that the economy was going to go bust.
I feel the Labour government has got a lot to answer for. Draining the system dry, giving out aid to all countries around the world, hemorrhaging money through the war effort, you know, giving money to the banks and no regulation on the banks. You can see the drip, drip, drip situation at the end of the tap, and by the time there's no water left in the tank, they want us to put it all back in.
Sometimes on Saturday morning I go to the pictures. Sometimes with my friends and sometimes with him. You don't. I do. You don't.
And why did you fall in love with him?
Don't know.
I don't know how. I don't know. You put up with me for so long.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how I stand him. Who's to say in another 10 years me and him might have split up?
Quite possible.
You know, you don't know.
I'm not proud at all to say this, but situations arise that I have had regretful behaviour various times, but through...
You got caught?
No,
and that was it?
You must appreciate 32 years is a long time to be married, and most of all, I mean, I've got an open characteristic way about me, and sometimes it has got me into trouble, which has been well documented before. I owe Debbie everything because, good or bad, high or low, rain or shine, she stuck by me. And then at the end of it, I still love her so. And that's the reason why. That will always be the reason why.
Were the kids angry with you?
Yeah. Yes, they were angry with me, and the situation was, it was an hard pill to swallow because the kids are my life. Nikki, Jodie, Perry, the grandchildren, I draw a circle, they're all mine, and I'm lucky. I'm very, very lucky, Michael. Michael, up there is my old flats where I used to live in. I lived up there for 28 years. For me, it's so small round here now. I mean, I come back and the memories I've got in here is unbelievable.
Would everybody please sit round now, get on with their work? I don't want to see any backs to me. Shouldn't be anybody turning round. Tony, do you hear as well? Get on with your work in front. Tony, don't turn round again.
As you can see, Michael, the Bethnal Green I knew as a kid growing up, now it's changed quite dramatically. Not one East Ender Cockney person like myself or anyone in the East End ever had a say in the immigration. No one had a say of the popularisation as far as was there too many, was there too less.
Listening to you, sometimes you sound racist. Asian. Wait a minute. You talk about Asians, you talk about Japanese, and yet here in Spain you seem to really work to integrate into the community.
Well, look, Michael, that, with respect to you, that word racist, it covers leaps and bounds of characteristics. I've never been racist in a million years. In a million years. I love people, I'm a people lover. You know, and in no way, I think that's, with respect to you, over the top. Right, Michael, this is the fruit and veg shop. Well, I was 7 years old, I had my first wage in there, 10 bob a week. This here was a pub. This is where all the dray horses used to deliver the beer. I used to run in and get in my apples, and I used to feed them. And where I was so small, they were a mammoth sort, and that's where I got my love for horses from. 4.50s, 40. If your father gambles, you always looked upon how he gambles. I try my luck, see what he does. And I took it from there, it's sort of in you. This is the pub and the area where my dad used to meet. And what they used to do is get an orange box with 3 cards on it, a queen and 2 fours. And what they do is called find the lady, like the 3-card trick. And consequently, they just sort of take their money off all the general public. He used to go in the nick once a week at least, and the firm used to take their money out, pay the fine, and he was back out on the street to do his sort of devilly ways. And I've come back here again, and it's really a travesty what's happened here. I mean, it makes it feel like crying. For me, it's quite sad, you know, but I mean, if that's what they call progress, well, so be it.
Where are we now, Tony?
I'm back at the old dog track. We're at the Olympic Stadium, Michael. And this is where the old dog track used to be on this site. And I'm here today and I cannot believe the transformation. It's a dream, it's just spectacular. And the torch from this games should be now passed to the East End for a new generation to come through.
At the end of their very special day in London, after their trip to the zoo and the party, we took our children to an adventure playground where they could do just what they liked. Those from the children's home set about building a house. There's Nicholas. And Tony. Andrew. John. And Bruce. Susie. Jackie and her friends. Give me a child until he is 7, and I will give you the man. This has been a glimpse of Britain's future.